How's it going, guys? Andrew here with Justified EDC, and today I have a couple quick gear reviews for you guys. We're going to go over 4 different products here. We got a little storage thing, we got a wallet, we got some knives, and we got a holster, all to talk about in today's video. Normally I do kind of my reviews individually, but sometimes for the sake of time and getting reviews out in a timely manner, I don't feel as bad about making makers wait for reviews and stuff like that. Sometimes we kind of lump things together. That does not at all reflect on how much I like this gear. In fact, pretty much, just looking at the table, all the stuff here I am actually a fan of, so I have good things to say about all of these. So please don't take this as they're not as important because they're being bundled together. It's really just for saving myself some time and making sure these reviews get out in a timely manner. So we're going to get into all of these things one at a time. But first, we have to thank the sponsor of the channel, which is Auxiliary Manufacturing. Auxiliary Manufacturing is making some awesome custom USA-made fixed blades right here in the States, like this pocket bowie right here with this ambidextrous pocket sheath from Offensive Industries. You got this Sumi here, little hawkbill guy, same thing on the sheath. He just got back from Blade Show West, so I think he's probably going to be dropping some seconds from that show on his website soon. I know he's working on another big drop that's coming up. That's going to include a bunch of different pocket bowie variations, pocket bowie XLs, pocket bowies in 1/8" blade stock, and as well as a bunch of different models. So if you're not interested in these, definitely still go check out his stuff. I do have a discount code with him. Code Justified10 will get you 10% off your order on his website. So I'll leave links down below to all that kind of stuff. He's got something for everyone. So please be sure to support him. Let him know I sent you, and we are going to get back to the video. So let's see, what order should we do this in here? I'm just going to start moving things off screen here just to save myself a little bit of room. And we're going to go ahead and go over this first. So this little thing here, I don't even know if I talked about it in a new Knives and Gear. I honestly can't remember, but I know I've at least talked about it in some EDC updates here. And there's not a whole lot to say about it. I just wanted to give you a quick update because I had talked about some issues with it and how the maker was remedying that. So this is just a this guy over here, the broken one, is the original, but I'll show you this just because it's the clean version. This here is just a little 3D printed case, snaps closed there, super duper thin, and all it is for is holding little dip pouches. So if you use Zin or anything else, or if you're like me and you use caffeine pouches, the ones I happen to be using right now are these. They're just a little shout out to these guys. These are probably the best caffeine pouches I found. They're a good dosage. They're 50 milligrams per pouch. Some of the other ones are either way too low. They're like 5 or 10 milligrams and you get nothing from them, or they're like 200 and it's like, okay, I don't want 200 every time I want a little burst of energy or focus or anything. So this has got some nootropics and stuff in it as well as caffeine, but I really like these. The flavor's good, the size is good, the price is decent, and they're about the exact same. They look exactly like Zin, so they fit in here. You can fit 5 of them down in here. Basically the point is so that you're not having to carry around one of these big bulky things all day. I do have like an aluminum container that I keep like a bunch of pouches in like my fanny pack, but just to keep in my pocket, so I have some on the go. I wanted something really thin and light and out of the way. They actually advertise you as being able to fit these in your wallet. I don't do that just because I don't like to bulk up my wallets. But these are really, really small. They are like 1.5 inches by 3 inches, and then the thickness is like, oh man, it's less than 1/4 inch. They're nice and thin. So the originals they were selling were in PLA. I had bought one and obviously had some issues with it. We're here along one of the layer lines. We had a crack and then a subsequent break. I had reached out to the maker on Etsy, which is man, I'm trying to think of the name. What's the name of these now? Something Print Concepts or something like that. I don't know. I'll put it down in the description. Obviously, I'll leave links to everything. But anyways, I had reached out to them and said, hey, I had this problem with you know, it breaking along one of the layer lines. And, you know, he thought it was probably related to layer adhesion, which is something that's, or a lack thereof, I should say, which is very common in PLA. So he offered to, you know, either to send me another PLA one at no cost, or I had asked about if he had any different materials. He said he did. He could try PETG, which has much better layer adhesion. It's a little bit stronger. It's a little bit going to be more resilient. It's also going to hold up to heat better. So, you know, if I leave this in a car or something. So I had opted to buy one of the, try one in PETG. I don't know if he's going to be offering these in the future in PETG. I think he absolutely should, because these are much more durable. I've been carrying these for a couple weeks now, and have had no cracking or breaking or warping or anything, which is, this broke very, very quickly. The other thing I noticed on the PETG versus this is the hinge on here, where this actually, you know, pops closed and has, you know, retention so it doesn't come open. That wore out very quickly on, you know, so this hinge here, that wore out very quickly on the PLA one. But the PETGs seem to be a little bit more abrasion resistant, and both of them still have a good snap to them, and they actually stay closed in your pocket. So I should, again, just want to say that they did a great job, you know, hooking me up with a replacement. They also sent me a second one for free, and they were, you know, very responsive, willing to try other materials. So if you're looking for something like this, definitely go check them out. Again, I don't know why I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but I'll leave a link. It'll probably be the first link down in the description below all the normal stuff. But I will leave links to their Etsy page and this exact product. So just wanted to give you guys a little update on that they did take care of me, and now I'm very happy with these as they are being produced now in PETG. Hopefully they make that an option on their store down the road, because I think the PETG is going to be a much more durable option than PLA overall. So that is that. Let's get into a wallet. This is the Chimaera Leatherworks Ventana, I think is the name of it. I just looked this up before. You guys would think that I don't do any research before I do these reviews, but no, I'm just forgetful and have ADD brain. I'm almost positive this is the Ventana. But this is made by Chimaera Leatherworks, as you can see right there. There's their little leather stamp on here. They had actually reached out to me on Instagram and asked if they could send me a wallet to check out and review. And I said yes. These are made in the USA. These are made out in California, I believe. And right there it says established 2024. So they're a newer company. So definitely go check them out. Again, I'll leave links to all this stuff down in the description, but definitely go check them out, give them support, as they are a newer maker in the community. But this is kind of an interesting wallet. It takes some elements of wallets that I've had before, and just mixes it up a little bit. So just looking at it from the outside, it reminds me a lot of the Open Sea Leather Topsider Quick Draw. Just with the design here where it opens up, and then, you know, I have my cash folded twice here, just because that's how I like to carry it. But you can just have unfolded cash tucked in the back here. It's a little difficult to get it in, which is one of the reasons I don't carry it like this. But you can put non-folded cash in the back there, and then just carry it like that, so you can open it up and look through all your bills, you know, pull one out, that kind of thing. I don't like that the cash shows with the wallet closed like that, and sometimes will stick out the side if you don't get it all the way in. So the way I was just doing it was just folding it once and tucking it in like that. Just because, yeah, it's a little cleaner look, not having cash hanging out of your wallet and everything like that. And you can still look through your bills here on the side. So you have that open spot on the side here for cash. You obviously could put cards there in the back, but you have two dedicated spots for cards. You've kind of this quick draw section up here, which I was just keeping 2 cards in, you know, my ID and my debit card. I keep up in this, you know, quick draw section right here. And then in the back here, you have this little cutout that you can grab and pull the rest of your cards up and then thumb through them. I was keeping 4 extra cards back here, as well as this blade bank by Exceed Designs, which just stores some extra razor blades, because I often carry a utility knife around, so having some extra razor blades is a nice thing. So I was just carrying that, and 4 extra cards right here in the back. You probably could fit a couple more in there, but that's just how many cards I carry, so that's what I tested it in. Let's see here. I have a couple extra more we can stuff in here and see how they go. So we got, here's 4 more. This might be stretching it literally, but yeah, you actually can fit up to 8 cards in that blade bank in there. So makes the wallet much, much thicker, but you can do it. So if you're someone who likes to carry more cards, you certainly can do that. I was just carrying 4 in there. So I'm going to put it back in the configuration that I had it. So that's your storage options. Nothing here on the back, just slick on the back. All the leather and the stitching is very, very nice. You know, all the edges are finished nicely. The stitching is all done well. I haven't had anything coming loose or anything like that. It's taking a nice patina on the. I've never had a black leather wallet before, so the patina that this black is taking is really, really nice. Just to give you some overall sizes here, the height is sitting just over 4, maybe like 4 1/8 inch, and then your length here is sitting at, or I'm sorry, your length here, I'm dumb, is sitting at just under 3, about maybe 2 7/8 wide, and then your thickness obviously is going to vary depending on how many cards you put in it, but you can get it down to pretty thin. So right here is with 6 cards, the blade bank, and 3 folded bills. That's about the thickness you're looking at. I'll just pull out the other wallet. This has been a kind of a favorite of mine recently, one I've been carrying a lot, just as a point of comparison. Here's the Redeemed Creations Co. Front pocket bifold. I'm not going to pull cards and everything out here because I have my actual cards in here right now, but just a size comparison here for you. Just stacked on top of each other. They're overall pretty much the exact same in the profile. It's just different ways of carrying things. And again, carrying the exact same things in here. 2 cards here, 4 cards here, blade bank, and I usually keep some cash in here as well. And then you can see the thicknesses are pretty similar overall. So in terms of competing with other wallets on the market, in terms of capacity and features, I'd say this is pretty on par. Now, price, you're looking at $80 on these, which again, I feel is fairly competitive. For a newer maker, again, I know how starting a business and pricing your things can be really difficult, and you don't want to undervalue yourself, but you don't want to oversell yourself either. So especially as a new maker, it can be really hard to come up with prices. If he's selling these at 80, great. I'd say keep him at 80. I think that's very competitive for what other leather makers are selling similar wallets for. But as a newer company, I kind of understand sometimes where prices for a lesser known maker can be, a little bit sketchy. So if you're having problems with selling these, I'd say maybe, drop them to $65, $70, or, drop them to 75 and then run sales on them or something like that. But overall, in terms of just the actual quality, not taking in, how long he's been in business or anything, I think $80 for the fit and finish and everything and the quality and the features here is just fine. Some nitpicks. I'm not a big fan of just having this flap loose. And I think it's more of an ADD thing on my part of I don't like how the flap just sits up. Like when I sit my wallet down, I don't like that it's just open. It's just like a visual thing for me, I think. I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm just weird. Maybe that won't bother anyone else. But it's not like it sticks all the way up and keeps your cards open or anything, Once you've been carrying it for a while and it's been in your pocket, it stays about like that. I think I would rather have this be a little bit longer, come down, and have some kind of snap that actually keeps this closed. Now, I know that would add a little bit of extra work putting the snap here, and I don't know if that would interfere with this card slot or anything. But I think I would actually rather see, you could change this design up a little bit and keep all the same capabilities. Take this card slot away, elongate this, put a snap here, and then put a card slot on the back that you can have your quick draw cards here in the back, because that way you don't even have to open anything up to get to those quick draw cards. Right now you have to open that up and then take your cards out. This way, if it was just on the back, you could have access to those two, and everything that's inside your wallet would actually be secure with some kind of snap. that's just a personal thing. Some people might like having all of their cards enclosed. So, if you would rather keep this quick draw slot, covered, obviously just elongate that, put the snap there, keep the back clean. That's totally fine. If I was designing this for me, I would move these to the back and then have a snap closure for the front. That's probably just me. Yeah, so all that being said, that's all very personal preference. I didn't actually run into any issues with, losing cards or not being able to easily get to things or anything like that. So this is all just personal preference. So if you're if you're looking at me talking about these issues and you're saying I don't really feel like that's a problem, great, ignore me and go buy one of these. This might be great for you. But I just wanted to point that out, that if something like that's going to bother you, where it doesn't actually stay closed, or you like having an exposed thing here in the back where you don't have to open to get to your primary cards, then that might not be for you. But again, all of that is very subjective. I think this wallet is very, very well made. I think it's worth the price, and if it's a design you like, I definitely say go check it out. So again, Chimaera Leatherworks, thank you for sending this over. I really do appreciate you sending it over and supporting the channel. It means a lot. Definitely go check him out. I will leave links to his stuff down in the description. And we are on to the next thing. Next thing, I'm going to save the knives for last. Let's talk about this holster here. This is from Range Holsters. Again, another newer company on the scene. They reached out to me on Instagram and asked if I'd be interested in reviewing one of their holsters. I said absolutely. Always happy to help out, people making gear here in the U.S., small makers, especially people that are up and coming. They asked me what guns I carry. I told them I primarily carry a Glock 17 pretty much all day, every day, with a Surefire X300U. So that's the configuration that they made this in. Obviously, they can make these for a bunch of different guns, but this one is going to be specifically for the Glock 17 with the Surefire X300 and then a spare mag. So just so you know, my primary setup for most of my carry is this right here. I have a standalone holster here inside the waistband appendix. This one happens to be from Hellhound Arms, but this kind of setup, and then a detached bag carrier. This one is from Superstition Concealment, but that is my setup that I run most days. That is, that's what I'm going to be doing. Yes, the guns are loaded because it is my carry gun. Everything is pointed in the safe direction. Even if it doesn't look safe to you, I know it's around me better than you do on the internet, so don't cry about it in the comments. But this is my carry gun. This is what I'm carrying today, so the gun is loaded. If that's going to bother you, turn the video off. I don't really care. So just getting that out of the way. But these are what we're working with. I'm going to move these out of the way. I'll bring those back as a point of comparison later. But this is what it's going to look like down in the holster. And then you have the mag carrier here on the side. So that is what you're looking at in the holster. Let me actually pick the camera up here a little bit, give us a little bit more room to work with. There we go. Give us just a little bit more room so that you can see this whole thing on camera at once. So this is made by Range Holsters. It's an interesting design. I'm not usually a big fan of sidecar holsters, meaning with an attached magazine carrier for appendix. I just find that they're kind of trying to solve a problem that doesn't really exist of, they're trying to keep, your draw consistent by having it, in one stationary place all the time, or, it's just one thing that you have to put on. I don't really buy into that. I much usually prefer a detached mag carrier because everyone's body shape is different. Everyone, how they carry is different, and depending on what gun and what extension on their magazine and everything, the position of your magazine is going to be different per person. So I don't really get the one size fits all argument all that much. However, this one works better than a lot of the other ones I've had because there's no clip on the magazine carrier. So what that allows it to do is it stays in a fixed position here, like your gun stays in a fixed position, but being on this bungee cord, one, it has a little bit of room to shift, and it has a little bit of room to go up and down in your waistband because there's no clip holding it at a fixed height. Now, for some people, if you're worried about having your magazine in the same area every time for the draw, that could be a drawback for you. But personally, I think appendix or sidecar holsters are uncomfortable. So having this detached to the point of being able to move a little bit and shift with your body, I think is more comfortable than other, sidecar style holsters. I think I still prefer the detached mag, but this is a good way of doing it, in my opinion. You will see there is no concealment wing on this. And the reason being, he said when he was molding this, actually the way that the holster is molded here for the light, that actually serves very similarly to a wing. And also with having this on here, it kind of also pulls the holster in that direction. So it doesn't really need a concealment wing. I usually prefer a wing, but I did not have any problems concealing this actually with that mold, that kind of acting as a wing. So concealment is not a problem. Comfort of the mag carrier, not really a problem. Those are the good things. Just other features, you have a full height sweat guard here on the back. You have a DCC monoblock clip, which is my favorite clip on all my holsters. I run them on all my holsters. I really, really like these, so good choice on that. The retention is good. No problems with the retention. Also, when I talked about what I like about holsters for the X300 is this kind of sideways, this slanted cut, so that the wheel of the X300 UA or UB, I don't even remember, yeah, the UB is the one with the wheel, so that wheel doesn't get caught on the holster. No problems here, goes straight in and out. The retention is very solid. No problems there. Same thing, retention on the magazine. Actually, the retention on the magazine might be a little bit more than I'd like, but you can adjust that here, so that's really more of a me problem. Those are the good things. One nitpick I do have is over here. This is a whole lot of extra material, this Kydex here, and we'll talk about why this is here in a second. But when carrying this appendix, I'm just going to take the gun out of here for a second so I can more kind of move it around and point it around. This corner down here really just digs into your leg occasionally. It's a lot of extra material to have on the side of a holster. So like compared to the Hellhound, where that corner is kind of chopped off and then smooth, and there's just enough here to put that concealment wing, this comes out relatively far and that corner comes out relatively far. So I kind of have to wear the holster a little bit more to my left, like more in the middle of my body than normal. Normally, I'd say I kind of carry like appendix, but slightly to the right side. But that really digs into my leg when I do that, so I have to kind of shift it a little bit more center. And again, if that's something that if this is the only holster you're carrying, that's something you can get used to. But for me, just that slight change in position where I'm used to going here for my draw, and I'm now going here for my draw, it's just a little bit different. So that's just something to be aware of. Now, the reason that is there, all this extra material, and the reason this magazine carrier is bungeed on here and not permanently fixed is you can take off this bungee cord, remove the mag carrier. So one, if you don't want to carry with an attached magazine carrier, you can have just this and still carry this appendix, or strong side if you wanted to. Again, because there is no dedicated concealment wing, you could carry this inside the waistband strong side if you wanted. But the cool thing is, when you take this off, you take the mag carrier off, he includes, and I can't remember if I have them in here. Yeah, here they are. He includes 2 of these clips that you can place on either side here. You can remove the monoblock, and then you can run this holster outside the waistband on your belt. So that's pretty cool. I've never really seen a modular holster, a holster that's quite this modular. So really, again, you can carry this appendix with or without a spare magazine. You can carry this strong side without the magazine, and you can carry this strong side outside the waistband, which is really, really cool. Like I said, I don't think I've ever really seen a holster do that before. So again, a lot of the, nitpicks that I talked about in terms of, extra material and, bulk and stuff like that, it's for a reason. It's so the holster can be modular to be used in many different configurations. So yeah, if you're only going to be running, this appendix inside the waistband, and you want a detached mag carrier, probably not the holster for you. But if you're someone who wants to buy one setup that you can use for everything and then not have to keep buying holsters and different setups and stuff like that, this might be a viable option for you. Because again, if you especially if you're new to carrying, and you're kind of just trying to figure out what you like in terms of carry position and all that kind of thing, you could buy this rig, and it could be, you could try appendix inside the waistband, you could try appendix with or without an attached mag carrier, you can try inside the waistband strong side, and you can try outside the waistband strong side. So in terms of modularity and being able to use this for multiple purposes, I think this holster is incredibly well designed. For me, I carry inside the waistband appendix with a detached mag carrier almost all the time. It is very rare that I'm not carrying this gun. And so for me, I probably won't continue to use this every day. I'll probably continue to use something like this, which is more purpose-built for appendix inside the waistband. But I can definitely see the value of this for other people. And probably now that I'm done with the review, I probably will swap this over permanently. I did switch this out once to try outside the waistband, and it does work just fine. What I will end up doing with this is taking this off, taking the monoblock off, and switching this to a permanent, outside the waistband configuration. Because I don't really have a, outside the waistband, the rig that I can conceal, with a jacket or anything, I have like a range set up with the drop leg and everything. But in terms of actually being able to run this gun outside the waistband concealed under a jacket or a large shirt or something, I don't really have a setup for that right now. So that's probably what I'm going to end up using this for. So all that being said, if you want something modular or you're looking to try out a bunch of different carry positions and you just want to buy one rig, I think this is a really great option. If you already have a dedicated holster for the kind of carry that you want to do, or I should preface it with this: if you know what position you want to carry in, I would then just find a holster that is specially suited for that carry position, because this does sacrifice some niceties of those other holsters for the sake of being modular. So all that being said, thank you to Range Holsters for sending this over. I really do appreciate it. Again, I will leave links down in the description to their Instagram and their website. Definitely go check them out. Tell them that I sent you, and to support a up-and-coming, small USA-made business. So that is Range Holsters, and I'm going to move this stuff out of here for the last review. So the last thing we got to talk about is Armis Knife and Tool Company. This is a guy, these are custom USA-made fixed blades, handmade knives here in the US. The guy is a retired firefighter who, had some, you can read his story. I'll link to his website and his YouTube and everything. Kind of tells his story throughout COVID. He left that kind of work and found knife making as an alternative career, which is awesome. So happy to support someone like that. He actually reached out to me through my email and asked if he could send some knives over for me to review. He's not on Instagram, which I'm going to keep bugging him to try to get on Instagram, because that's kind of where this whole custom knife making scene really lives, in terms of, getting more eyes on your stuff. So I'm going to try to get him over on Instagram. But for right now, you can check out his website and his YouTube. I'll leave links down below to those. But he was nice enough to send me over 2 of his models. One is going to go back to him, and one he sent me to keep, so I really appreciate that. So this is the VSK1, which is the larger model here. And then this is the VSK Mini. So the exact same knife, just scaled down. So kind of lined them up like that. So again, this is the one that he sent me to actually carry and use and keep, which I really, really appreciate when makers do that. It helps me get a lot more hands-on time with them. and, you know, kind of flush out my opinions. This one is just going to be here as a point of comparison. I didn't really carry or use this one at all because, again, this one's going back to him to be sold to one of you guys, potentially. So I didn't want to, you know, use it or anything like that. But we will be using it as a point of comparison as I go over the VSK Mini. So what you got here is fixed blade, full tang, 5/32 thick AEBL. So AEBL, if you're not familiar, is a very, very tough stainless steel. Those are the main qualities that it's known for. Not really known for its edge retention or anything like that, but in a purpose-built self-defense knife like this, you don't really need edge retention. Really, all you need is toughness. And if you are worried about corrosion or anything like that, stainless is a nice thing to have too. So AEBL is a great choice for this. It's kind of the precursor steel to things like Nitro V and 14C28N, if you're familiar with those more, you know, kind of modern steels. But for just a tough, you know, rough and tumble kind of fighting knife, AEBL is a great choice. You have G10 scales. You can get these in either this textured finish here. It's kind of like the Peel Ply G10, or you can get it in like a rock texture where he actually, you know, takes the grinder and patterns the handles. I opted for just the Peel Ply texture. I usually prefer that. It's usually a little bit more grippy than rock texture, but to each their own. So some of the features here, this is a saber height flat grind, and the edge that it came with was a convex edge. We'll talk more about that in a second here. I have resharpened this to be just a flat ground edge, just a normal V edge, but this did come with a convex grind. In here, you have a very pronounced punyo for drawing the knife both into reverse grip or into, you know, standard hammer, fist, or saber grip. And then the sheath is a deep carry ambidextrous pocket sheath. So you can put the knife in either direction, depending on what side of your body you want to carry it on, or if you want to, or depending on what draw you want to get it into. So if you have this set up on your right side, you can have it facing like this, so you can come out into reverse grip, or you can have it set up this way if you're on the right side to come in here and pull it out into hammer grip. And same thing, if you want to switch it to the other side, it's as easy as flipping the knife around. So ambidextrous sheaths are awesome. I'm very happy to see more makers doing them. And these are very, very well done. You guys know I'm a big fan of Offensive Industries deep carry pocket sheaths, and these are done in a very similar manner. Again, friction fit. They've got the Velcro inside to keep them from rattling and to aid in retention. They've got the discrete carry concepts clip here on the front. The VSK Mini is going to come with the smaller DCC clip, which is the one I prefer for pocket carry. The larger one is going to come with the full-size DCC clip so that you can carry it inside the waistband and hook this over a belt if you wanted to. Something like very low profile where all you had is that sticking out up over your waistline. Still very easy to get in there and draw out. So just going over some of the differences here. Sorry, just wipe some of the oil off of the blade that these came with. In terms of specs, they are pretty much identical. They are the exact same blade thickness on both. Handle thickness looks to be about the same. They might be slightly thicker on the full size, but honestly, it's not enough to tell. Obviously, you can see here on the ramp here on the back, on the full-size VSK1, you have some jimping there, so that when you're in that kind of saber grip, you can kind of push against there and lock your thumb in, whereas the Mini, you don't have that. And that comes to the size of the grip, which I think is really the main difference. You do have a longer blade on the VSK1 by about a ½ inch. But the biggest difference is going to be in terms of the handle length. So if I line these up here like this, you can see that you're probably getting 3/4 of an inch more grip length on the VSK1. You can get a full grip. Again, I wear medium-sized gloves. I have medium-sized hands. The VSK Mini, I can get a full grip in hammer grip and in reverse grip. If I try to go to saber grip, my pinky kind of dangles out here. So that's why I can see that, you know, they didn't put the jimping on here, because you're not going to really be using this knife in this kind of grip just because it's not very secure. So there's no real need for that jimping. In this one, though, at least for my hands, I can get a full 4-finger grip in saber grip and lock my thumb in there like that. So both of these fit my hand. I think it's a little bit cramped in the VSK Mini, but the VSK Mini is still the one that I would choose to carry, just because this one is much larger and heavier. Just want to get some weights on here for you. These are not lightweight knives, which is okay, but just something you should be aware of. Getting a weight on here. So just the knives, the VSK one is 5.7 ounces on its own. The VSK Mini is 4.4 ounces. And then the weight with the sheaths, the VSK one is 7.5 ounces, so that's pretty hefty. And then the VSK Mini is 6 ounces. So these are not the lightest knives in the world, but this is much easier to carry in the pocket, which is my preferred method of carrying fixed blades 90% of the time, is I carry in the pocket. So if I had to choose between these two for pocket carry, I would definitely choose the Mini. I would say, you know, like nitpicks on this, I would maybe extend the grip area of this by just, even if you added like a 1/4 inch to this handle, my hand wouldn't feel so cramped in here. I can get a full grip, and don't get me wrong, this does lock into my hand decently well, but my top finger is kind of wrapping around that puño instead of being completely underneath it. Like if I wanted my finger completely underneath, you see how my finger's kind of riding up onto the ricasso there. So even if you added like, you know, a 1/4 inch to this, it would still keep it much smaller and lighter weight than the VSK one, but I think it would fit a couple more hand sizes. Like if you're someone with large or extra large hands, I would not recommend getting the Mini. It's probably going to be too small for you, because with my medium-sized hands, I'm just barely getting a full grip. The VSK one is definitely going to be more up your alley. Like you can see there's a little bit of extra, you know, room in there when I grip this, or if I, you know, choke back to this side, there's all that extra room. So if I was going to put one of these knives on, like, you know, some kit or something like this would make an awesome, you know, like field knife. It's big, it's beefy. You know, a convex edge is going to be very, very tough. So if I was going to be like actually using this like as like a field knife or something to strap on like a backpack or a plate carrier or something, I'd probably go with the larger one, especially if you're going to be wearing gloves. There's no way you're getting a gloved hand on this one very well. But for everyday carry, I still prefer this one. Now, talking about the edge, he said something on one of his explanation videos of he puts a convex edge on these for the purpose of, you know, for some reason, you know, convex edges, you know, if you're not familiar with a convex edge, your standard flat ground edges are straight like this. They look like a V. A convex edge is more rounded. It's more like an apple seed. So it adds extra toughness, but the edge doesn't have quite as much bite, and it puts a little bit more thickness behind the edge. So, you know, some bushcraft knives and stuff use convex edges, or like really, really hard use chopping knives will have a convex edge to really maintain that edge stability. I don't know if I necessarily agree that a convex edge is going to part flesh any better than a flat ground edge, because you're getting a lot less bite to the edge with a convex edge. Like you can't cut paper with this convex edge very well. It's not that it's not sharp, it's just it has less bite, and especially for a small knife like this, especially going to be being reverse or being edge out, where, you know, if you're going to be doing any slashing at all, it's going to be these kind of push cuts. You want a very bitey edge to be able to catch that flesh and rip it open. I'm not bought into the concept really of a convex edge being better for, you know, cutting flesh. I just don't necessarily think that's true. But, you know, I could be wrong. He can feel free to, you know, leave something down below as to why he believes that's true. And I could be wrong. I'm very open to changing my mind if I'm presented with other information. But every other, you know, knife that I've ever, seen that's, designed for self-defense has had a V-ground edge on it, not necessarily a Scandi or a convex edge of any kind. So I changed this edge out to be a flat grind just because I think that will perform a little bit better. And also, if I do want to use this for any utility, the convex edge isn't going to get me a whole lot of cutting performance. Whereas, even though this is very thick and is decently thick behind the edge, it has a very sharp V-ground edge on it now that I can at least, get some cutting performance on. So that's why I changed that. Other nitpicks, some of these edges up here towards the front, you can see I kind of rounded off there with some sandpaper. They were just a little bit sharp. You can still see them here on the full size, just how these come to kind of a point. And when your fingers are really up close to here, or you're trying to put your thumb over this here to kind of lock into a hammer grip, some of these corners are just a little bit sharp. So, and same thing here with just, finishing, around these corners of this peel ply texture. I would just maybe, put a small chamfer all the way around so they're a little bit less sharp. It's not as much of a problem on this one. It looks like he rounded these a little bit more on the VSK Mini. I don't know if that was just for mine or if that's more standard, but as you can see there, you can see how some of these corners are a little bit sharper here. I would just say, knock some of those edges off, but that's really a very minor nitpick. You could easily do that yourself if you bought one of these with like sandpaper in 5 minutes. So these are really cool knives. One elephant in the room I wanted to address that it wasn't really an elephant in the room to me, but apparently is to other people, is apparently to other people, this looks a lot like the Amtac Northman knives. I guess I see that. It's a spear point-ish blade with a pronounced puño handle, and a sheath you can carry in the pocket, but those are about where the similarities end. This is much more angular. The curve of the handle is different here. How you have a little bit more of a point. The puño looks different. The sheath design is different. So to the people saying, oh, that looks awfully familiar, like an Amtac, like, yeah, a lot of fighting knives have a spear point blade and a pronounced puño. Guess what? The reason for that is because spear point blades work to penetrate, and a pronounced puño helps you draw the knife and lock it into a reverse grip. So I don't really buy that these are in any way, rip-offs of the Amtac knives. Amtac doesn't own the concept of a puño like this and a spear point blade with a pocket sheath. There's so many companies that do that. And it's because those design cues work. Also, these sheaths are way better than anything Amtac makes. I'm sorry, I've seen and used Amtac sheaths. They're not very good. The design makes no sense. These are well thought out and work very, very well. So that's my little rant. I don't think that these have anything to do with Amtac. I doubt he was even influenced by these. I had asked him, when I first found... I actually found this guy originally because I was looking for more people that were doing deep carry ambidextrous pocket sheaths. And I found these, and I actually, at first glance, I was like, oh, is Offensive Industries making these? But some of the design cues are different. Offensive Industries, if I pull out, the one I'm carrying right now, his sheaths are flat across the top, and the clip is flush with it. This one here is more curved, so you can see that here. And just some of the design work, they're just slightly different, but it is the same concept. But when I talked to him about it, because I asked, is Offensive Industries making these, or did he teach you? Because I know Josh has taught a couple other makers like, Kistner Knives and Knives by Nuge how to make these types of sheaths. And he said, until I had really brought it up, he had never even really seen Offensive Industries stuff before. It's just, when you're making an ambidextrous sheath, there are certain design cues that work. And so, obviously some people arrive to the same conclusion. So that's kind of how I see the same thing with the design cues being similar to the Northman, certain things work in knife combatives. And so you're going to want those features on the knife. That's like if I pulled out, where is my Defense Lab? Here's the trainer. The Defense Lab Ehud. If I pulled this out and said, "Oh man, they copied Armis Knife and Tool because there's a pronounced puño up here," well, no, these knives are completely different, but having that punyo on there to be able to grab the knife out and lock it into a reverse grip just makes sense in knife combative, so lots of knives have it. That no one owns that design cue. So just wanted to get that off my chest, but these are very, very cool knives. Both of them are starting at $250, which I think is very respectable for a custom handmade knife made in the USA with this good of a sheath. And they're both $250, no matter what size you get. The only additions in price that you'll get is if you want a custom handle material or you want a custom sheath pattern. But all of the standard ones here, both of the configurations I have these in, both of these would be $250. So thank you to Armis Knife and Tool for sending these over. I really appreciate it. I will be sending this one back to you shortly, and I will be continuing to carry this. I hope to see a version in the future where this handle is brought up a little bit, and it would be really cool to see this in reverse edge because, you know, for small knives, I'm a big proponent of reverse edge, but I know not everyone is, so it'd be cool if you did one now, so that would be nice. But that is all I have for you guys. That is the video. I know it was a bit of a longer one, but I wanted to get all of these reviews out for you guys so you knew where we stood with those. So thank you to all the makers who have sent things over respectively. Range Holsters, Armis, Chimaera. I really appreciate all of you guys. If you're interested in anything I talked about in this video, links will be down in the description. Please leave me any questions, comments, concerns you may have. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.